Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Great to see you. It's the Broke Capitalist. Thanks for joining me today. I know you could be off doing something else like, robbing a bank or doing your taxes. I think that deadline is passed if you didn't know. But anyway, thanks a lot for being here. Hey, I want to ask you guys to go check out the website, brokecapitalist.com. There you can pick up some great books. If you ever find yourself in a debate with a SJW, these books will help you a lot. And matter of fact, will just shut them down totally. These books were printed, a lot of them were printed before the Civil War, giving you facts on everything from the total amount of slaves, in which states, who owned them, how many they were, how many people rented the slaves, things like that. This book I'm talking about in particular is called The Impending Crisis of the South. Another great book, Slavery, by a great abolitionist, Mr. William Channing. And of course, there's some books I wrote, Our Two Societies, which has won a few awards. Great book, go check it out. But today I want to talk to you guys about the culture that killed George Floyd and many other brothers like him. So first and foremost, Democrats, you're doing it wrong. And I just found this video on the internet, the 10 worst ghettos I've ever driven through in the United States. I don't know who this guy is, but he did a great job. And so me and you are going to go through this video. I'm just going to take snippets of it. And we'll go through and find out something you probably already know. So let's check it out.
Seen a lot of America so far. I haven't been to every corner of this fine country, but I've seen the highlights, or most of them. It's quite a great place, the United States is, for the most part. But there are some really terrible areas in this nation, as we all know. And you people of YouTube want to see them. It's pretty clear. Whenever I upload a nice, peaceful drive through a nice part of the country, the clicks are, But when I drive through a bad neighborhood, people on YouTube are like, I want to see that. Why is that? Why do we all want to see rundown, poor neighborhoods? In this video, I'm going to run through the worst ghetto hoods I've ever visited. These are all places that are run down and neglected. The crime is really high and where people are poor. Now, in my opinion, the worst hoods are all in the Northeast. Sure, the West Coast has rundown areas, but the West Coast is much more new, so the hoods don't have that gritty, grimy, rundown look. Midwest hoods look pretty bad, and Southern hoods have large areas where there are clearly a lot of issues too, but it's the Northeast where things look the worst. We'll see that shortly. But enough of all the intro stuff, let's get down to it. These are the worst hoods I've ever seen and some of the worst ghettos in the USA. We're going to begin in the South, in the worst neighborhood in Atlanta, which I shot in January of 2021. The area I went to is here.
So Atlanta, great city, according to most people. I've been through it, never lived there. Great place to be for the most part. That's what I've heard. But one of the worst ghettos in the United States, according to this guy on the internet, is this area called Bankhead. Most of the population there is going to be of color, as they say. And another thing, who's the mayor of Atlanta? What's her party affiliation? Can you guess? Democrat. All right, so
located just inside the Beltline, only a short drive from downtown. Atlanta's been gentrifying fast. This is one of the few pockets that still remain this bad so close to downtown. Odds are one day, these homes will
skip ahead a little bit, but there's going to be a reoccurring theme here.
Now we're going to go to the Midwest for the first time. I'm going to show you a part of Detroit that I visited in December of 2019. The neighborhood we're going to look at is here in the Northwest Goldberg neighborhood of Detroit.
Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm from Detroit, and I'll tell you this, I've never heard of the Goldberg neighborhood. I grew up around here, the University District, right? Which is a ways away. Detroit is huge. This neighborhood he's going through, I don't know who told him to go there, but this ain't the worst by far. You don't see people on the corners. You just see, bombed out and depleted Detroit. But there's much worse areas in Detroit. And wonder who the mayor is. I wonder what party he's running in Detroit.
2 miles from downtown. Of course, Detroit's well known for being one of the worst places in the nation for crime and poverty and slums.
And being ran by, you guessed it, Democrats. Matter of fact, since 1962.
The auto industry left town decades ago, and that was a big part for the city's demise. Detroit lost more than 1 million people over the last 70 years, and its population is now 60% smaller than it was at its peak. But Detroit's changed a lot. The neighborhood called Washington Park.
Skip ahead to Montgomery, Alabama. Now, I haven't been here either, but this kind of looks like Detroit.
The 8th worst ghetto I've ever seen is just a few blocks south of Montgomery.
And there's always a Martin Luther King Boulevard somewhere in the ghetto. I mean, he should be rolling over in his grave, literally.
Just a few blocks south of Montgomery, the capital of Alabama.
And
this particular pocket of town is only a 2-minute drive south of downtown
Democrat
in a neighborhood called Washington Park. I went there in January, and the cold, gray skies and the light rain created a gloom over this part of town, which made it look even more dreadful. Now, Montgomery isn't a very dangerous place overall. It's about average crime-wise, and it ranks as one of the safest of Alabama's big cities. But down here has shootings and robberies, and it looks...
Yeah. Crackheads, stop being crackheads. That's some great advice.
Now we're down at the South, and we're going to visit the Northeast for the first time. We're going to spend a lot of time looking at hoods in the Northeast for the rest of this video. This is McKeesport, a Pittsburgh suburb where there's about 20,000 people and dropping. It's about 15 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh. Actually, a lot of Pittsburgh suburbs look like this. It's alarming and frankly kind of makes you shake your head when you realize how many rundown many of our former great cities have become. McKeesport's main drag is filled with abandoned, rundown businesses, and its neighboring streets are crumbled.
Well, like most of you, I'm gonna assume most of you haven't heard of this place. I haven't heard of it, but I have heard of the party that's running it, the Democratic Party. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. We'll get to the reasons why in a minute, but let's keep touring this disaster.
Homes in one section, McKeesport, have all been abandoned. Again, this is part of the Rust Belt where factories left a long time ago and the people left to go where the jobs are. And whoever is left in parts of McKeesport are those people holding on, those who are too poor or too stubborn to move away. I was actually really blown away to see entire neighborhoods look like this. The next 2 worst ghettos I've ever seen are both in the Midwest. We're going to begin here in East St. Louis, Illinois, in an area that was actually pretty large. I pulled into East St. Louis on a weekday in December of 2019. I can't imagine it's changed much since.
True story. When I was in Portland looking to, get into the real estate game with a private investor, he suggested that I go to St. Louis because houses were dirt cheap. And he was right. And this is back in 2005. And me and my partner at the time, Randy, business partner, we were touring a house in the middle of the day, like on a Wednesday. It's probably 3 in the afternoon. Like 6 doors down is a drive-by shooting. So guess what? Nope. No. And the guy who fixed up the house beautifully, he got stuck with that house. I'm pretty sure eventually somebody bought it, but man, crime and capital don't mix.
The region had just received several inches of snowfall 2 days prior. As you can see today,
the mayor,
the skies are bright.
Democrat.
The air was crisp, and the snowfall made the area appear unusually charming, like makeup covering a bruise. Again, a loss of jobs and a huge spike in crime has made this once great place a place where people are fleeing in large numbers. Crime's atrocious. Drug use is out of control, which is only about 30 minutes from the south side of Chicago. Again,
Now, real talk. Even people from Detroit knuckle up when they hear Gary, Indiana. That should tell you
Now, the
something
other
about
Midwest
Gary,
city that
Indiana.
really stood out is
And
Gary,
something else
Indiana,
about Gary,
which is
Indiana?
only about 30 minutes from the south side of Chicago. Again, like
Democrats.
East St. Louis, it wasn't a particular neighborhood that looked bad in Gary. The whole place is a mess.
I mean, this is a
Downtown
random
Gary
video
looks as if
on
it
the
ran out of
internet. I don't know this
motivation
guy.
decades ago.
He just said
But it was
10
the
worst
entire sections of
ghettos
town
in
which I
America.
drove through,
And I was
which blew me
like,
away.
you know, I bet
Typically, I
they're
try to find the worst
all
neighborhood
run by a
based on
Democrat.
crime numbers
And so
poverty
far,
levels, and everybody wants to see which homes are the most run down. But
they
here,
are.
there wasn't one particular bad part of town. It was a whole place. What you're seeing here is pretty much what a lot of Gary looks like. And there's still 76,000 people.
Oh, and you know what's coming up. Baltimore?
The number 4 worst ghetto place I've ever seen is back up in the Northeast. We're actually going to remain up here in the Northeast for the rest of this ghetto rundown. Now, when you go to Baltimore,
Bombed
smash
out
you in the
and
face
depleted.
like, you're in Baltimore, bitch. There is no denying you're here when you pull off and make the short trek from the highway into the center of it all. Baltimore has many.
Now, it's a damn shame. You had that beautiful, nice young lady, Kessick, I believe her last name is, running for the mayor, to be mayor of Baltimore, and she lost. I don't know how she lost. She had that great video about Baltimore, just walking through the streets of Baltimore, showing people how it's run down, just empty buildings, just terrible. And she lost. I don't get it. Was it rigged? I don't know. But again, Democrats destroyed Baltimore. But what are the Democrats going to say? Racist destroyed Baltimore. I don't see no Klan members on this corner. Do you?
Many terrible areas, but the one I focused on was one infamous for being the worst of them all. A pocket in this general area here on the west side of town. Anything west of Martin Luther King and north and west of Pennsylvania is generally the worst area of Baltimore I could find. In this hood, there aren't any red box machines or the worst places I've seen so far in my life are all in a very small general area.
Back in PA,
We're going to begin here in Chester, Pennsylvania, which is just about 20 minutes from the outskirts of Philadelphia. There really wasn't one bad part of town that was the worst in Chester. I drove through downtown and up and down pockets throughout Chester. It was a cold, cloudy, and somewhat rainy morning in March of 2021. Chester is widely considered the worst place.
Why do these people why do they keep voting Democrat?
Considering the number of outright rundown places that exist in this state. And as you're going to see on this drive, Chester's fallen apart. It's filled with burned out and vacant homes. There's trash everywhere and shuttered businesses. This is a crime-riddled town where there's no jobs, where drug use is rampant, and where the schools are in miserable shape. It's all a recipe for disaster and no growth. And Democrats really say enough about this place. You have to see it for yourself. Here's Kensington, the worst part of Philadelphia, and one of the worst places I've ever visited in my life.
Again, Philadelphia. Democrats. Been Democrats. How do these people keep getting elected? I'll tell you how in a minute. Well, first we got to give the #1 grand prize to, and if you haven't guessed it, you won't be surprised. Maybe you will be. But you won't be surprised to find that the mayor is also a Democrat. And here we go.
Now, rarely am I intimidated by a ghetto, but the last place on this list and the worst place I've ever seen in person was truly scary. It's Camden, a city of 74,000 people in the south part of New Jersey, just right across the river from Kensington. I came to Camden the day after I had seen Kensington. It was early in the morning, and of course it was raining, so I thought that would kind of put a damper on the street crowd, making it safer for me to drive through Camden's worst pockets undetected. But that was not the case. All over Camden were people milling about in their burned out neighborhoods. Many of the abandoned homes had been taken over by squatters. There was a police presence every few blocks. People just stood around on their porches, probably waiting for the rain to stop so they could get back to their street lifestyle.
Dude, the culture and values that grow in these cities that are run by Democrats who control the school board and the education system, they create some great things. They create a lot of some great entertainers. They do. NBA stars, NFL stars, singers. I mean, Motown, you know. The suburbs don't do a great job with producing a lot of our entertainers. But the inner city does. But our main product out of the inner cities, I hate to say it, but they are failures. The values and belief systems associated with the culture of these inner cities leads to failure in a capitalistic free market society, or what it's supposed to be, right? The mindset of people who live in these places, I used to, is not one of, look, I'm gonna do everything I can do to get myself out of this situation and bring everybody along with me, no matter what. I ain't depending on nobody else. I'm gonna set a goal and do it for myself because I don't have any excuses. That type of logic doesn't grow in these areas. Why? Well, in these areas, the people who mill around and live there who are stuck there, what's their greatest asset? Most of these people don't own houses. A lot of them are renters. There are a lot of people who own houses in the ghetto, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people, the value of their house isn't that great, right? Most of them are renters, and a lot of them are on aid, which is not a bad thing, depending on your mindset when you get the aid, right? But I dare say the greatest asset of a lot of people in color in the inner city is their skin color. That's their greatest asset. That's the thing they want to be protected. And that is why they constantly vote for Democrats, because all they have to offer is a protection of their perceived greatest asset, which is skin color. Now, then on Instagram or something yesterday, I read only racists are concerned with race. Everybody else is concerned with character, right? So I don't care if you live in that building right there and you're white, black, brown, or other, but your character says, I live here now, but I'm not going to live here forever. I don't care who lives next door. I don't care who's on my front porch or on the corner. I'm going to do everything I can to build a better life for myself. I will accept no excuses. I don't need no help from politicians, from church members, from anybody. I'm going to do the most I can on my own. And you know what? People who have made it will find you. They will notice that grind and grit because it'll be familiar. And they will help you. There's your solution. But guess who that hurts? It don't hurt the guy living there trying to get out. That hurts the Democratic politicians. Because if they can't protect your greatest asset, your greatest perceived asset, which is your skin color, what good are they? Name a Democratic policy that's helped anybody in any African American area. Leave it in the description. I'm sure it's got to be one. I mean, since 1832 when they were founded, I'm sure that a policy that net benefit helped the African American family. I ain't talking about the intent that is supposed to help or, we're going to do our best. No, at the end of the day, they championed the policy that had a net benefit to the African American community. I'm sure there's some out there. I don't know one. But yeah, back to George Floyd. The value systems, the belief systems, they create poverty, right? They create people without a rudder. They don't have a goal, right? So it's easy for when life hits you in the face. If you don't have a goal to get from A to B, it's easy for you to stay down. Wallow in despair. Misery loves company. that company loves drugs. Next thing you know, you on heroin or on fentanyl. Now you writing bad checks. You're having kids out of wedlock, right? You stuck in poverty. But no, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's the racist fault, right? Man, I will never tell you that there are no racists or there's no racism. But I will always tell you, you can't use that as an excuse. Stop allowing the Democratic Socialist Marxist Party of America to continue to keep your brothers and sisters. And when I say brothers and sisters, I mean fellow Americans. I don't care if you a Native American, a white American, Black American, Asian American, other American. We're all Americans, right? And the Democratic Party is ushering in socialist Marxist policies nationwide through people in urban centers. Joe Biden gonna protect you from the racists, even though his greatest mentor was a recruiter from the Klan, but he still got elected. I don't get it. Anyway, I think that's enough for today, y'all. Like I said, drop by the website, hit me up, shoot me a line. Got some great books for you. It really helps the channel. It really combats this narrative that, for 400 years, all Black Americans have been is under the iron foot of oppression, right? Yes, we have incidents of some really effed up things happening to African Americans, but that's not our entire story. Our entire story, a good portion of it, has been deleted from the educational system that's ran primarily in these urban centers by Democrats. And there's a reason why. If you ain't scared of racists, why would you vote Democrat? You tell me. All right, y'all, I'm out. Have a great day. Peace.